We're moving swiftly into our kind of comedy section of the evening, which is probably good because everyone's probably a few beers down the line now. It seems like the right time to make a bit of a transition. Without any further ado, I'm not going to give him a big introduction because I'm sure he's going to explain that for himself. I'm going to introduce you to Jonnie Marbles, who's going to do an amazing set for you.
A bit of housekeeping first. Ben, I was so excited by seeing you come out from backstage. It looked like so much fun that I kind of rushed through and destroyed your curtain on the way here. So I feel like I want to apologise, but I also feel vaguely proud at the same time. It's a confused mixture of feelings, but we'll get on with the show anyway. I want to thank so many of you for being here. It's absolutely wonderful to see so many people. It's really brave, actually, so many of you to come down, because of course the Tories have outlawed comedy, and we need to come to underground laugh-easies like this in order to get our fix. And obviously that means there could be a raid any time. And I'm sure that a lot of you are au fait with the police, but I thought we should go through some ground rules just to be on the safe side. If the police come in and they're running at you, try and make yourself look big. They will back off when their instincts kick in. If one gets really close to you and hits you with their baton, try and find a dock leaf and rub that in. It really works a trick every time. If you get arrested, try and say no comment in as many different silly voices as you can, because police absolutely love that. They go wild for it every single time. How many people were at the Atos demo earlier?
Yeah!
Sorry, did you guys get kettled?
No.
They've gone off kettling, haven't they? Who remembers kettling, eh? Yeah. It's going to rapidly turn into a piece of K routine at this rate. But for anyone who doesn't know, kettling, a kettle is basically a big open-air prison where all of the walls are made out of twats. So you can just imagine that. I was talking about arrests a minute ago. Who's been arrested here? This is the kind of audience I like. Sort of about, I don't know, about 10%. When you get to about 30%, it becomes a scary audience. About 10% is about the right level. I find arrest fascinating in how boring it is. You know those tiny little cells that you're in, well, most of you don't, but you get put in these tiny little cells and there's nothing to do. Most of your life you go through with a phone or a book or other people to interact with. There is nothing at all. You lie on a bunk and you look up and there's this weird sort of, even here you cannot get away from marketing. The police are marketing to you in your cell. And my one said, if you know of a crime that's been committed, phone this number. There could be a cash reward. Which is an amazing idea, that you're going to use your one phone call to dob yourself in some kind of big society policing nightmare. There are a few things you can do to deal with the boredom. I decided to try and write myself a letter, sort of like posterity, but they wouldn't give me a paper and pen. What they did give me, though, was a plate of baked beans and a plastic fork, and a list of my rights. So, clever old me, I got the back of the plastic fork, I got the list of my rights and started writing to myself. I penned this missive from my prison cell, and that had taken 45 minutes, so I kind of gave up on the project after that. Or another brilliant thing you can do in a prison cell, one of the few objects you can actually interact with is you've got a bed sheet, obviously, and you can wander around yourself wearing it as a cape. And then, if you're me, you can ring the buzzer and stand like this, waiting for the police to come. So you can go, yes! Of course, if you're me, you'll spend about 10 minutes doing this before realising there's CCTV in your cell. And they can see exactly what a dickhead you're being. Do you know what's more fun than a jail cell in a police station? It's prison. And I went to prison last year, something some of you may have heard of, where I threw a pie in Rupert Murdoch. That's basically incitement. And I went down for common assault, which I was annoyed about, because it was at the very least a weird assault.
Brilliant assault!
I went to prison, and prison, I strongly recommend it if you've not been. It's really great. The most fantastic people in the world there, seriously, absolutely fascinating people. I was in a cell with a guy for a while, yeah, I'll tell this story. I was in a cell with a guy for a while who was an armed robber, and it really makes you think, when an armed robber tells you that you need to sort your life out. No, it's true. I was really hoping he'd teach me how to rob banks so that I have something to fall back on, but we got split apart when the whole riots thing happened, blah. Speaking of the riots, another guy I met, absolutely fantastic bloke, he had thrown shit in the face of the governor of Brixton Prison during an underreported riot that went on in there. I seem to be the only person in the world who knows about this, and I wouldn't even believe it if he hadn't shown me his chart sheet. So I felt like there was some kind of like camaraderie there. You know, I'd thrown a plate of shaving foam in Rupert Murdoch's face, he'd thrown shit in the governor of Brixton's face. In other ways we weren't so similar. For example, I stand around in dingy rooms muttering things for a living, and he robs drug dealers. And when he told me that, I said the most white, middle-class thing I've ever said in my entire life, which was, "Oh, like Omar from The Wire?" No, not so much, apparently. Not really so much like Omar from The Wire. I wondered, like, he seemed quite pissed off by that, and I wondered if it was because of the suggestion that if he was like Omar from The Wire, he would also be gay. And that's a weird thing. At times I've wondered if I'm gay, and I think that obviously there's nothing wrong with that. You know, millions of people in the world, probably a lot of people here in this room tonight, have wondered at some time or another whether or not I'm gay. But I started really thinking, you know, I'm probably gay, so I went to a psychiatrist, and he said I'm not gay, I'm actually a repressed homophobe. And that really upset me, because I'm personally homophobic. And I've always really hated homophobic people. It turns out that I'm actually a homophobophile, which is very, very difficult. Because most homophobes are homophobophilephobic. Particularly the blokes, it turns out. I don't know why I end on that joke, but that's the one I like to end on. You've been a fantastic audience, everyone.